on this week's episode of The Chris and Andre Show.
It's time for politics.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of politics, I think what we're getting, it all lines up with what the job is. So and nothing surprises me when it comes from this group of individuals, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I think that's a really good point. Like, at the end, they're all politicians, right? And so with this, like, and we've talked about this before, like this elected class that we've kind of created amongst the politician groups and where they kind of come from typically, it's like we treat them as a completely different category of citizen. And so...
And we shouldn't.
Right. I mean, in a lot of senses, it's like, oh, they're the ones creating the law, so they're above it. But in another sense, it's like, who wants that? I mean, like, who wants that job, right? Like, who wants to go into that and deal with that cesspool on a regular basis? You know, like, I think about I watched, I think it was in, like, senior year, because, of course, I moved from California to North Carolina in between my freshman and sophomore year, so I didn't take, was it ELPSA? Like, the economics, you know, law, whatever.
Politics. ELP.
Yeah, ELP. And so I had to take it my senior year, and we watched, was it Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, because my ELPSA teacher was kind of lazy. And I just, like, I think about that now, and I'm like, I can imagine.
Hold on, pause. That's good to know.
I mean, come on, like, I'm fairly well educated on this stuff regardless. So that was the problem, was it's like he knew a lot, but he knew who he was having to teach to. And I think, like, that ultimately brought down what, like, if you engaged him in private conversation, he was very intelligent and very thoughtful, but it was like in class he was dealing with the lowest common denominator, and it was just like, we can't get past, like, early on he was like, who could name the national religion of the United States? And half the class raised their hand and was like, Christianity. And he's like, no, you freaking morons. There's no official religion. Like, the whole freaking country was essentially founded on the idea of freedom of religion. How dumb can you be? And these were, like, kids who were also seniors in high school. Like,
I mean, to fail public schooling systems, and in North Carolina especially, it's like you have to really be trying.
Oh. And I did my junior year in English. Whew. I still only got a D, though.
I don't think I did, like, an assignment for the whole first semester of my senior year in high school.
Andre is like, this is news to me.
Still made it through. No, he knows.
No,
he knows, yeah.
It keeps coming back to bite him lately.
No, you just think it does. I don't know. You're always coming at me. But no, it's a task. Like, you have to try hard at it. I knew people that had, and this is a crazy stat, they had missed 180 classes in the first semester when there's only 4 classes a day. So I don't know, you do the math. It's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, this guy was impeccable at skipping class, and still passed. He still graduated.
I mean, so my freshman year at NC State, I know Andre's just gonna. Oh God, I had to take, like, I try to remember what it was, like. I had taken Spanish, like, forever, but when I took the AP Spanish language test, I didn't get a high enough score to get credit, so that I ended up having to take, like, Spanish 201 when I got to school at NC State, and I hated it because I already knew it all. So I went the first 2 days, Monday, Wednesday. Friday, I decided I was hungry, and so I went to El Rodeo on Hillsborough, and I was like, that's basically the same as going to Spanish class. Like, I'm going to a Mexican restaurant,
especially
I'll order
if
in
you
Spanish.
Order in Spanish.
See?
Right.
This kid gets it. And that was the last time I went to class for, like, 2 months. Then I just was like, oh crap, I'm going to fail if I don't show up. And so I went and just, like, I passed every test, and somehow I got an A in that class. I literally didn't go to class for 2 months, and I got an A at the end of the semester. And that set me up for failure for the rest of my college career, because I was like, I don't have to go to class. I can skip 2 months, show up at the end, and they'll be like, well, I don't want to see you again. A, get out of here. Like, oh no. The rest of the teachers noticed. That was not.
Yeah.
So the bigger problem, like I get the funny of what you guys are saying. It's true, but I think the bigger problem is also part of the disillusionment with the educational system in our country.
Sure.
And you look at the student debt. I don't want to say crisis, but I would say it's probably the best word to use for it. A lot of people are disillusioned about like how much in loans do you take out, or what does that really mean as our economy, like across the board, has changed. Like when I remember when I was in school, it was like become an attorney or a doctor. Then it gradually shifted to engineering and this whole like push for STEM. Well, guess what? It's not really true,
Well, and then it was management, right? Like don't be the individual, be the manager. And so that was what I went to school for at State. I went to NC State for business management at like the start of the Nelson Management College. Like they were not known for business management. I'm pretty sure it's the only reason I got in was because that was the school I applied to. Like, oh, that was.
My point being, it's like 163. Like so. The headline is a voter with $163,000 in student debt feels betrayed by Biden. And I said I was going to shell over Biden. I will say that it's not entirely true. I think that should have never been a campaign promise.
Sure.
I think he should have basically committed to looking at, but the Democrats as a whole, I could actually blame Bernie Sanders, AOC. I could blame all of them for talking about it is a crisis, yes. But the bigger problem is that there are not enough jobs we are sending people to the educational system to look for jobs that will not exist by the time they graduate.
Yeah.
Period.
Or to earn jobs that are never going to make them enough money to actually pay off the student loan debt that they've gone
right.
into.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's so
like I'm going to get a graduate degree to go be a kindergarten teacher.
Because that makes a lot of sense, right?
I mean, and yeah, I think there is an element of self-responsibility in that, right? But at the same time, I think it's also like most of these kids are 17, not even like maybe 18 years old, and they're allowed to sign up for hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt.
You want to hear the kicker for this story?
Yeah.
The lady's 50. She's in her 50s. She's in her 50s.
Well, and another kicker to this is none of the education that you're going to get amounts to $163,000.
Exactly.
I mean, all of that money is going into research, and the schools aren't even paying their teachers. They have grad students teach the class, or some temp that's hired by semester, and so not only are you getting into an immense amount of debt, but you're getting no knowledge for that cost, and
the ROI is just absolute garbage.
There is no well. I got to be careful because I really think there's a you can over criticize without providing solutions.
Sure.
Right. And I don't want to get
do that
I
all the
don't want to
time.
get in that slip. I'm sorry.
that's hilarious.
I think it's also a cause. It's a pause for wisdom, right? I swear to God. This is not going to go the way that you expect it to go.
I'm not that guy, buddy. I'm not that guy.
I think it's. I swear to God, I'm gonna. Oh man, so I think the issue is it's like when do we step back and actually try to address the problem, right? I think there's some I don't have a solve. I think that charter schools are making it much more complicated.
Why?
That's going to exacerbate the problem because you're not making it a public school entity, but you're providing public dollars for school, and you're widening the gap of actual education for kids at a younger age.
Okay.
Right?
So I thought maybe you were talking about student loan debt still.
No.
But
so
is there an
more than
element
likely-
of that? Like, I was going to ask I would imagine there are some parents that go and get like personal loans to send their kids to like private and charter schools and stuff like that, right?
Well, what most charter schools probably not, but I saw a study, and I can't remember. I don't want to like misquote it, but there is a high percentage of charter school students that actually get accepted into college before public school students, right? And there is some spitball number of middle class and upper middle class students that actually get accepted at higher rates than lower income families in college. So, we're just projecting 15, 20 years out that we're going to have a much larger inequality in like economics in society.
Oh, that's
right?
great, because right now it's very close. So we should be able to handle that without any issue.
To hear the rest, tune into this week's episode of The Chris and Andre Show.